Picture the late 1940s. The Cold War is brewing. Every rumor feels possible. Nuclear weapons, secret labs, experiments on the edge of madness. In this atmosphere, whispers began. Whispers of a Soviet experiment. One that stripped away the most human need: sleep. The story became legend, known simply as the Soviet sleep experiment. Part science, part horror. The tale usually begins in a sealed chamber. 5 prisoners are offered freedom. All they must do? Stay awake. For 30 days, no sleep. Not even a blink too long. To keep them awake, a stimulant gas is used. The room is filled with it. The air tastes like chemicals. At first, the prisoners laugh. They joke about the deal. 30 days feels easy. But day 1 drags. Day 2 aches. Day 3 blurs. Sleep deprivation begins its work. Their eyes twitch. Their words slur, yet the gas keeps them going. They stay on their feet. They mutter nonsense. By day 5, paranoia sets in. They whisper about spies. They accuse each other. By day 7, screams echo. Then silence. Then laughter. Guards take in terror. Guards take notes. Scientists lean closer to the glass. The subjects rip books apart. They smear pages on the walls. Then they fall eerily quiet. The chamber smells of sweat, of chemicals, fear. Then the story grows darker. The prisoners stop eating. They begin tearing into themselves. They mutilate their own flesh. They tear strips of skin. They gnaw bones. Yet they do not sleep. They do not collapse. The gas keeps them alive. Their eyes bulge. Their voices grow deep. They mutter words no one understands. We no longer want to be free. One of them declares, "We must remain awake." Guards panic. They beg the scientists to end it. But the order is to watch. More days pass. The chamber reeks of blood. The men are unrecognizable. The legend says the Soviets tried stopping the gas. They wanted the madness to end. But when the gas stopped, so did the men's voices. Then the screams began again, blood-curdling, endless. The prisoners begged for the gas. They clawed at the walls. They tore their own throats. The scientists relented. They turned the gas back on, and the subjects calmed. "We need the gas," they whispered. "We cannot sleep." By the end of the 30 days, the scene was unthinkable. Half-dead figures still alive, but inhuman. When the Soviets tried to remove them, chaos erupted. Guards were killed. Scientists were attacked. The survivors screamed one last plea: "Keep us awake. We are no longer men." And then, silence. The chamber doors slammed shut. The project was buried. Or so the story goes. A tale too strange to believe, or too chilling to ignore. So is any of this real? Did the Soviets actually lock people in chambers, flooding them with stimulant gas? Or is it all internet folklore? To answer that, we turn to Cold War secrecy, a time when strange experiments weren't unusual. Both America and the USSR pushed science into unsettling directions. Declassified CIA files show this. Projects like MK Ultra tested drugs on unwitting subjects. Hypnosis, LSD, sensory deprivational, real. So the idea of a Soviet sleep lab doesn't sound impossible. In fact, documents from the 1950s mention Soviet research on fatigue. They studied pilots, soldiers, and night workers. Staying awake for war mattered. If a soldier could stay alert longer, battles could be won. And the arms race wasn't just about bombs, it was about bodies. Rumors say the Soviets tested a stimulant gas, compound related to amphetamines. Amphetamines were widely used in World War II, even by Allied pilots. The story claims the Soviets took it further. Instead of pills, they used a continuous inhaled stimulant, delivered in sealed chambers. Was this documented? Not exactly. But whispers survive in intelligence memos. Some reports suggest experiments in military hospitals. Soldiers kept awake for 5, 7, even 10 days. Hallucinations set in quickly. By day 3, without sleep, subjects lose focus. By day 5, paranoia blooms. By day 7, psychosis erupts. This matches parts of the legend, except for the gruesome self-destruction. That's where the story spirals into horror. But wait, there's another thread. Some say the Soviets experimented with infrasound, sound waves below human hearing. Infrasound has strange effects: nausea, panic, even hallucinations. A weaponized sound field, combined with sleep deprivation, could break people fast. That may have inspired parts of the tale, because Soviet labs did study infrasound. Then come the wildest rumors: declassified files floating online. Stories of prisoners locked away for 30 days. Are those files authentic? Likely not. They read more like fiction. Still, they mix fact with fantasy. Real research on sleep deprivation, wrapped in a horror narrative. In truth, sleep deprivation is brutal enough. Guinness World Records stopped tracking it after 11 days, because it's too dangerous. 11 days awake cause paranoia, hallucinations, and memory failure. Muscles twitched uncontrollably, minds fractured. The Soviet story stretches this further. Not 11 days, but 30. Medical science says that's impossible. The human body would collapse. Organs would fail. Yet the legend insists otherwise. Subjects somehow survived horrifically changed. That's where the superhuman element creeps in. Some theorists link it to bioweapons. A rumor says the Soviets wanted a soldier who didn't need sleep, sleepless warrior. Others connect it to myth, folklore about demons that never rest. The line between science and superstition blurs. This blending makes the story powerful. It feels half-true, feels possible. Because yes, the Soviets ran human experiments. They tested radiation. They tested poisons. So, would a sleep chamber with stimulant gas be unthinkable? Not really. That's what keeps the legend alive. Even Western scientists fed the myth. In the 1960s, articles speculated about Soviet psychic warfare. Sleep control was part of it. Imagine a weapon that keeps enemies awake for weeks. Sleep-deprived armies collapse without firing a shot. Terrifying, right? But again, there's no smoking gun. No lab photos, no verifiable files. Which brings us back to the internet. The tale exploded in the early 2000s. Creepypasta forums spread it worldwide. People loved it because it mixed history, science, and horror. A perfect recipe for late-night chills. So while the declassified rumors may be fake, the roots of the story are real enough. They lead us into the Cold War's strangest corners. The experiment itself may be legend, but its afterlife is undeniable. The Soviet sleep experiment became one of the internet's most famous horror stories. In the early 2000s, forums like Creepypasta made it viral. People copied and pasted the story everywhere. It spread like digital folklore. Each retelling grew darker. Some added secret recordings. Others invented photos of mutilated prisoners. None were real. But in the shadows of the web, truth hardly mattered. The horror was enough. Soon, YouTube videos appeared. Some were read aloud with creepy music. Others used grainy stock photos to fake evidence. Millions watched. Millions shivered. The legend had escaped the page. Then came adaptations, short films, graphic novels, even stage plays. One production in the UK dramatized the screams. Audiences left unsettled. Why does this story cling so tightly? Part of it is timing. Post-Cold War paranoia still lingered. The USSR had collapsed. Files were declassified. Rumors filled the gaps. Anything felt possible. If the CIA ran MKUltra, maybe the Soviets ran this. People connected dots that weren't there. Another reason, sleep deprivation is universal. Everyone has felt exhaustion. Everyone knows how fragile the mind becomes without rest, so the story hits home. It twists something familiar, exaggerates it to horror. That's how folklore works. Start with truth, add fear. The sleep experiment also mirrors old myths. Demons that keep you awake, ghosts that whisper at night. In Slavic folklore, there are spirits tied to sleep. The Mara, a night hag that suffocates dreamers. The Soviet tale feels like a modern Mara, scientific demon, a lab-born monster. And that clicks with deep fears. Psychologists call it the uncanny, something almost real, but not quite. Our brains struggle to reject it. That's why skeptics still argue online. Some swear it's true. Some even claim family connections to it. My grandfather saw the files. My uncle worked in that lab. Always vague, always unverifiable. But that's folklore's power. It grows in the dark. It thrives in uncertainty. Even mainstream media dipped in. Articles asked, what if? Documentaries teased classified Soviet horrors. None confirmed it, but all kept it alive. Because mystery sells. And the sleep experiment is mystery perfected. No clear origin. No official denial. Instead, endless whispers. A cold war that still echoes. A story no one can fully kill. So what does it teach us? That fear doesn't need proof. It needs possibility. And this story is packed with possibility. Could science push people beyond humanity? Could governments hide such things? History shows, yes, sometimes. From chemical tests to radiation exposure, governments did cross lines. That's why the sleep experiment works so well. It's fake but not impossible. It's horror but grounded in reality. Today, the legend inspires creators worldwide. Video games include references, horror podcasts retell it, even memes keep it alive. Dark jokes about staying awake too long. All roads trace back to this tale, so the experiment endures, half myth, half warning, entirely unsettling. Every time someone stays up late, reading about it, the cycle continues. Soviet sleep experiment never sleeps.
That's it for today's Forgotten Tale. If this story made you raise an eyebrow don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that dusty little bell so you never miss another echo from the past. Drop it in the comments. We're always listening for new echoes. Got a weird bit of history you think we should cover? Until next time, keep your curiosity loud and your history weird.